Let's look at the next t-shirt, and I already teased that it's red. So you're probably really curious what this non-black, sacrilegious red t-shirt is about. Let's look at it closely. As you can see, it's from Confidence 2016, which is a Polish security conference. And this conference happened in May 2016. This was actually the first time that I've been to Poland. And this t-shirt represents my first ever real conference talk. As you now know from my anxiety and panic attacks, it would have been impossible to submit a talk to some conference. I would have never done that. I actually still don't like to do that. But from a previous video, you know that I have been involved in researching this Smart Sheriff Korean mobile application. And the colleague I worked together with on this project thought that this could actually be a good topic for a conference talk. My colleague at the time, Abraham Aranguren, was like this big Spaniard Basque guy, really tall and muscular. And I don't think he really understood that I have like anxiety and that I'm nervous about this. And so he kind of pushed me a little bit to make this talk. That's obviously why I agreed to do it with him, because him pushing me a little bit is what exactly I needed. Otherwise it would have not worked. And I knew that. And so I actively seeked that out. So together we prepared a talk to present our work on Smart Sheriff, and we called the talk Smart Sheriff Dumb Idea. I still think that's a good title. If you look at our slides of this talk, you can see quite a bit of LiveOverflow influence, I would say, because there's a lot of hand drawing. I really wanted to make my first conference talk special, or at least, better, a certain level of quality. There's like this stereotype for security talks, which I hate so much, which is, oh, I didn't prepare for my talk last night, or on the airplane, I did my talk slides. They say that as if it's like something cool, but every time I just think, great, your slides will be terrible again. Your talk will be boring again. Talks are already a terrible way of transferring information. So I think it's really important to try to make the talk very appealing. And so I try to make the slides visually appealing. But what is also important to note is that even though there's kind of like this LiveOverflow crossover with the hand-drawn style, I did not mention that I have a YouTube channel. If you look on our introductory slide, it just has my name on it and email and nothing else. It doesn't even link my LiveOverflow Twitter. LiveOverflow and my professional identity was still completely separated. I did not want these two worlds to overlap. And this talk I gave as Fabian, the security consultant, not as LiveOverflow, the YouTuber. Doing this talk was not easy for me. Obviously, I was suffering from my anxiety and panic attack. Especially in the time right before the presentation, that's obviously a lot of suffering. The organizational team from Confidence is really great, and I knew I had to open up to at least one of the people there to kind of like help me. So I remember telling this lady, which was probably like my age, very embarrassingly, that I am suffering from like anxiety attacks and I worry that I throw up. And I asked her if I can look at the room before I hold this talk. Basically to see the stage and stand on it once before, just to get a feeling for how it feels like, that I know what I have to expect. In a lot of conferences, the issue is that the speaker is actually like on the other side of the room from where the door is. So in a case of emergency, if I would have to throw up, I would have to run through the whole crowd to reach the door to get outside, which is, as I said, for most conference places the case, and it's terrible. But at Confidence I saw that there was some kind of doors on the back side of the wall. So I asked if that can be opened and if there are toilets back there. And then I also asked if I can see that place and if I can walk around there. It's so embarrassing. But in the end I also knew that this is what I have to do in order to be the most comfortable as I can get to give this talk. And the Confidence organizers, the company behind it is I think called ProIDA or something like that. They were really nice to me and didn't judge me or didn't make me feel weird about it. I think I did notice that they thought, hey, this is a bit odd, but they did that and they helped me to make me feel comfortable, and in the end I was able to give a talk. Also, if you look at the talk, I link it below, I don't think I look actually like nervous or that I'm suffering or so. And it's actually the case that once I break through that barrier, basically once I'm on the stage with the microphone, then also my anxiety is gone. And then I love presenting. In the very first video where I mentioned my anxiety, I also told you that previously, before I started to have it, I was very comfortable on the stage. And I really like to give a presentation. I really enjoy this. So once I was up there with the microphone, I actually felt comfortable. But the time before that is the horror. I was suffering the morning before. It manifests in all these different different behavioral things. I don't eat breakfast because I worry that I have to throw it up. Just before the talk, I have to go to the bathroom to basically throw up, which calms myself down, and not good stuff. But in the end, I was able to give my first talk, which made me so proud. I don't know if it nowadays is still the same, but at least for me at the time, I felt like giving a conference talk was one of the most important career steps in becoming a professional in IT security. So I always had the feeling that I had to have a conference talk to get my name out there. And I was really worrying, and I was sad about, because of my anxiety, that I would not be able to ever do that. But having my colleague push me into it really helped me, and I'm really happy that in the end I ended up giving a conference talk. And this was not the only one. We actually gave this talk at different conferences multiple times. One other thing, the conference is called Confidence. Do you think it's coincidence that a conference called Confidence is the one where I feel confident to give a talk despite my anxiety and nervousness issues? Maybe it has a deeper meaning. As a speaker, I can really recommend Confidence. I really felt taken care of despite my issues. Generally, I thought that it was a very professional and nice conference. Nowadays, I actually get frequently invited to give talks at conferences, but I always decline. First of all, I don't really know what to talk about. I don't really like talks that much now that I know that there are way better YouTube videos out there. But also conference talks are so much pressure that actually still can trigger my anxiety. So if you have asked me to give a talk before, or if you think about asking me for a talk, maybe don't, because at least as of 2020 and probably also next year, 21, I will most likely decline anything, because I just cannot go through the stress of travel and the stress then giving this and panic attacks and so forth. I'm not getting anything out of that. It's such a waste for me, and it will just mean I'm suffering, and I just don't want that. However, I do miss going to conferences. I really enjoy hanging out at conferences, listening to the talks, meeting the people I've got to know over the years from all over the world. I would like to go to more conferences. So, now that I'm somewhat of an established security influencer, maybe you want to invite me and pay for my flight and hotel just so I can hang around. Just kidding, but there's half true in it. If I could go to conferences for free and I wouldn't have to give a talk and just hang around, that would be pretty good actually. And I would take full advantage of that, and I would not even feel bad about it. I feel confident enough to say that. Anyway, this was the story of my first conference talk. I linked the talk below, so feel free to watch it. And we basically reached the end of this series. So, see you tomorrow.